Linda was 44 when they told her. 6 months, maybe 8. She didn't cry in the car. She made a list, not of places to see, but of people who might need something. One person a day. No cameras. No posts. Just anonymous kindness until she ran out of time. She had no idea that one of the people she helped had filmed her without her knowing, and that the video had already reached 2 million people. She still doesn't know, by the way. Not at the point where this story starts. Right now, somewhere in a town you've probably never heard of, strangers are typing the same 5 words into a search bar. Who is this woman? They don't have a name. They don't have a face. Not really. Just a gray cardigan and a way of looking at people like she had all the time in the world to give them. She didn't. That's the part nobody searching for her knows yet. And it's the part you're about to. Stay with me, because by the time this story catches up to that search bar, you'll understand exactly why she never wanted to be found in the first place. 3 weeks before that, Linda Mercer was just a woman with a name tag that said Linda in faded letters, pouring coffee at Dot's Diner on the corner of 5th and Walnut, the way she had for 22 years. People who passed through Maple Ridge remembered 2 things about that diner: the pie, and the waitress who never forgot how you took your coffee. She wasn't famous for anything. She wasn't trying to be. She'd raised a daughter, Emily, mostly on her own after the divorce, on diner wages and the kind of stubbornness that doesn't announce itself. She drove a '09 Corolla with a cracked side mirror she kept saying she'd fix. She watched the same 3 shows every week. She fell asleep on the couch more nights than she made it to bed. If you'd asked her 2 months earlier what kind of person she was, she probably would have laughed and said tired. Not unkind, not unhappy, just tired, in the way a lot of people in their 40s are tired, quietly, without making it anyone else's problem. Then came a Tuesday in February, gray the way Ohio Februaries are always gray, and a doctor named Dr. Alvarez sat across from her with a folder he kept opening and closing like he was hoping the second time he looked, the words inside would be different. They weren't. Pancreatic. Late. The kind of late where treatment isn't a fight, it's a postponement. He used the word comfortable more than once. Linda noticed that. She noticed everything that day. Actually, the buzz of the fluorescent light overhead, the smell of hand sanitizer, the way her own hands looked perfectly normal resting in her lap, like they hadn't gotten the news yet. 6 months, he said. Maybe 8, if things went kindly. She thanked him. People do that. They thank the man who just told them their life is closing early, because some part of the brain still runs on manners even when the rest of it is in free fall. She didn't cry in the car. She's told people since that she wanted to, that she sat there in the parking lot waiting for it to come, the way you wait for a sneeze. It never came. What came instead was quieter and stranger, a kind of stillness. Like her whole life had been a radio playing static and someone had finally found the station. She thought about Emily first. Then she thought, oddly, about a man named Hank who came into the diner every single morning and ordered the same thing and always seemed like he was carrying something heavy that nobody asked him about. She thought about a teenage girl who'd been in the diner bathroom for 20 minutes the week before and came out with red eyes, and Linda had refilled her water without saying anything because some things don't need a question attached. She thought, there are so many people walking around half broken and nobody stops. By the time she pulled into her driveway, something had shifted that she couldn't undo. She didn't have a bucket list. She'd never wanted to see Paris. What she wanted, what arrived in her, fully formed, sitting in that car with the engine still running, was simpler and harder than any trip. She wanted to spend whatever was left noticing people, really noticing them, and doing something about it before she ran out of days to do it in. She went inside, got a notebook from the junk drawer, a green spiral one, 99 cents, the kind Emily used to do homework in, and wrote at the top of the first page, in handwriting that didn't shake nearly as much as she expected it to, people who might need something. The rules came before the names did. No cameras. She decided that almost instantly. sitting at her kitchen table with the green notebook open in front of her. If she was going to do this, it couldn't be for anyone to see. The second it became something to be seen, it would stop being about the person in front of her and start being about her, about how the doing looked. She'd watched enough of the internet to know how fast that switch flips. No posts, no telling people what she was up to, not even Emily, not at first. No thank yous collected like trophies. One person a day, not because the math was tidy, though it was. Roughly 180 days meant roughly 180 people, if her body held, but because one person, looked at properly, takes more than people think. You can't really see someone in passing. You have to slow down enough to notice what they're not saying. So she slowed down. The first name on the list wasn't a stranger at all. It was Hank, the diner regular, the one who ordered the same plate every morning and carried something heavy nobody asked about. Linda asked. She'd waited on him for 6 years and never once asked him a real question. And on a Thursday morning in February, she set down his coffee and said, "Hank, how are you actually?" He blinked at her like the question had physically startled him. Then he told her. His wife had passed 18 months earlier. His son lived in Arizona and called twice a year. He was behind on his property taxes, not by a little, and too proud to say so to anyone who might actually help, because the people who might help were the people who knew him, and being known and being pitied felt like the same thing to a man like Hank. Linda didn't tell him she was dying. She didn't tell him anything about herself at all. She just listened, the way she'd always been good at listening. And 3 days later, an envelope of cash showed up in Hank's mailbox with no note, in exactly the amount of his overdue tax bill, which she'd found out by asking the county clerk's office a few careful questions about how property tax delinquency notices work in Ohio. Hank never found out where the money came from. He asked around for a while. Then he stopped asking, the way people eventually stop asking about good things, just grateful they happened. Linda crossed his name off the list and felt something she hadn't expected to feel, given everything. Useful. Not brave. Not noble. Useful. In a way that had nothing to do with how much time she had left and everything to do with what she did with the time while she had it. The second day, she gave $20 in a granola bar to a man sleeping in a car in the church parking lot and sat with him for 11 minutes while he ate, not saying much. Because some people don't want conversation, they want company. The third day, she paid off a layaway order at the pharmacy for a woman she'd never met, a stack of children's clothes for a kid heading into a new school year, and walked out before the woman even got to the counter to find out who'd done it. She kept a private column in the notebook, next to the names, not who they were, but what it cost her to help them. Some days, 20 minutes of energy she didn't have. Some days, an ache that lingered for hours. She paid it anyway. 180 people, give or take. One unasked for kindness at a time. She had no idea, writing those early names in green ink at her kitchen table, that one of the people further down that list, someone she hadn't met yet, was going to break every rule she'd set without even knowing her name. By week 6, the list had stopped feeling like a project and started feeling like a second job, except the only paycheck was watching something shift in another person's face when the weight came off it, even for a day. That week, on a Wednesday she'd later remember more clearly than most, she'd had a chemo infusion that morning, the kind that left her hands trembling and her stomach hollowed out in a way no breakfast wanted to sit in. She almost didn't go out that day. She sat in her car outside the infusion center for 20 minutes, telling herself it was fine to skip one. The list could survive a missed day. She couldn't survive much else, but the list could. Then she saw him. A man, maybe 35, crouched next to a minivan in the parking lot of the grocery store next door, 2 kids in the back seat. One of them crying in that exhausted, overstimulated way toddlers cry when nobody around them has a plan. He had a flat tire and, judging by the way he kept patting his pockets, not enough on him to fix it. Linda sat there a second longer, weighing her own exhaustion against his. It wasn't close, not really. Hers was a temporary chemical fog. His looked like it had been building for months. The kind of tired that lives behind the eyes of a man trying to hold a family together on a budget that doesn't bend. She got out of the car. She didn't lead with money. She led with the kids, crouching down to the crying one's window and making a face that, for reasons she never fully understood, made the kid laugh instead. Then she asked the man if he had roadside assistance. He didn't. She called a tow service she knew from years of diner small talk, paid for the tire over the phone before he could see the total, and told the dispatcher to bill it to a number that traced back to nothing he could identify. She stayed until the tow truck came. 20 extra minutes on legs that wanted to fold underneath her. She talked to him about nothing in particular, the heat, the kids, a sale at the grocery store, because she'd learned that people in crisis don't always want to talk about the crisis. Sometimes they want 5 minutes where someone treats them like a person having a normal day, not a problem to be solved. When the tow truck driver told him it was already paid for, the man went very quiet. He looked at Linda like he was trying to do math that didn't add up. A stranger, a parking lot, no warning. Why, he said. Not thank you. Just why? Linda told him what she told everyone who asked, which was the truth wrapped just tight enough to hide what was underneath it. Because today I could, she said. And someday you'll be able to, for somebody else. She drove home that day and slept for 11 hours. The kind of sleep that comes from spending every spare ounce of a body that doesn't have many ounces left to spare. Emily called twice. Linda didn't pick up either time. Not because she was hiding something dramatic. Because she genuinely didn't have the energy to perform, "I'm fine," over the phone, and she'd rather say nothing than say it badly. In the notebook that night, in handwriting noticeably shakier than the first entries, she wrote next to the man's initials, "Cost. Almost everything I had today. Worth it, yes." She didn't know his name. She never asked. That was part of the rule. 2. One she hadn't written down because she hadn't expected to need it. Some kindnesses work better when they don't get followed up on. When the only proof they happened is the fact that something, somewhere, got a little lighter. She had 31 names left on a list that had started with 180, and a body that was negotiating with her, daily, about how many more it intended to allow. By the start of month 2, she'd learned to recognize a particular kind of person almost on sight. Not by what they were buying, by how they were buying it. There was a woman, older, maybe 70, who came into the discount grocery near the pharmacy every Tuesday and bought the same thing. For cans of the cheapest soup on the shelf, the off-brand kind nobody puts on a label with any pride. Linda noticed her 3 Tuesdays in a row before she understood what she was looking at. For cans, every week, like clockwork, like rationing. The woman's name, Linda would learn later, was Vera. Vera counted out exact change at the register every single time. Coins first, like she'd already done the math twice at home and didn't trust herself to do it again under pressure. Linda didn't approach her that day. She'd learned, slowly, that the kindest thing isn't always immediate. Sometimes it's patient. She watched Vera for 2 more weeks. Not following her, nothing like that. Just noticing, the way you notice a neighbor's porch light go out and start paying attention to whether it comes back on. What she found out, through a few careful questions to a pharmacist she'd built a friendly rapport with over the years, was that Vera was on a fixed income that had stopped fixing anything a long time ago. Her husband had died 3 years earlier. Her electric bill had gone up twice in 8 months. She'd started splitting pills to make a 30-day prescription last 45. Linda paid Vera's electric bill that month. Anonymously, the way she paid for everything. A call to the utility company, an account number Vera had unknowingly mentioned out loud once at the pharmacy counter while frustrated. A payment made over the phone with no name attached beyond Linda's own, which meant nothing to anyone but her. She didn't tell Vera. She never told anyone. That was the whole architecture of what she was doing. Kindness with no fingerprints. The opposite of everything the world seemed to be training people to do, which was perform the good thing loud enough that someone noticed you doing it. Week 7 brought a new symptom, a deep ache low in her back that no amount of repositioning fixed, and a tiredness that didn't lift after sleep anymore, just dimmed slightly, like a dimmer switch instead of a full reset. She started timing her good hours, mornings mostly, and rearranged the list around them without telling anyone the list was now running on borrowed hours. She told Emily about the diagnosis, finally, in week 8. Not the list, just the diagnosis, because hiding cancer from your own daughter for 2 months is its own kind of cruelty. Emily drove up from Columbus that night, and they sat at the kitchen table until 2 in the morning, Emily crying the specific, furious way grief wears before it quiets, Linda mostly just holding her hand, saying the same thing over and over. "I'm not scared the way you think I am." She meant it. She'd found, somewhere in those first 8 weeks, that fear had been replaced by something with a job to do. Fear doesn't have a list. What she had now did. She still didn't tell Emily about the names in the green notebook. Not because she didn't trust her. Because the moment she said it out loud, it would become a thing other people had opinions about. Brave, beautiful, inspiring. All the words that turn a private act into public performance. She wasn't ready to lose it to language yet. She had no way of knowing that an elderly woman buying off-brand soup, and the bill that quietly stopped showing up overdue, were about to lead her into the one moment of this entire winter that wouldn't stay private no matter how hard she tried to keep it that way. It happened on a Thursday in week 11, at the pharmacy counter of the same discount store where Vera bought her soup, and it happened because of something so small Linda almost walked past it. Vera was standing at the counter, and the pharmacy tech was explaining, gently but with the particular discomfort of someone delivering bad math to a person who can't absorb another bad number, that her insulin copay had gone up again. $84. Vera had brought 60, counted in the careful way she counted everything, and was doing the thing people do when the gap between what they have and what they need becomes physically visible. Recalculating out loud, offering to come back, suggesting she could maybe split the dose, stretch it, make do. You don't stretch insulin. Not really. Not without consequences that show up in an emergency room. Linda was 2 people back in line. She didn't make a scene. She didn't announce anything. She simply stepped up when it was her turn, paid for her own prescription, and then quietly told the tech to put the difference on Vera's account, the remaining $24, and to please not say who from. What she didn't know was that a 20-year-old pharmacy clerk named Marcus, stocking a shelf 1 aisle over with a clear sight line through the gap above the antacids, had watched the whole thing. He'd watched Vera's face when the tech told her it was covered. He'd watched the careful, contained way Vera looked around the store afterward, trying to figure out which of the 4 or 5 people near her had just quietly fixed a problem that had been sitting on her chest for days. He watched Linda, gray cardigan, tired eyes, a woman who looked like she was barely keeping herself upright, walk out of the store like she hadn't just done anything at all. Marcus did something he would later describe, in an interview he never expected to give, as not really a decision, more like a reflex. He pulled out his phone and filmed the last 15 seconds of it. Linda's back as she walked toward the exit, Vera's face dissolving into something between relief and disbelief, the tech quietly saying, "Ma'am, you're all set," one more time like she still didn't believe it either. He didn't get Linda's face. He didn't get her name. He didn't, in that moment, think about any of that. He just felt like he'd witnessed something that mattered, the kind of thing that happens constantly and gets noticed almost never, and some part of him. The part raised on a generation of phones that turn witnessing into sharing. Wanted other people to feel what he'd just felt. He posted it that night with a caption that took him longer to write than the filming had taken. "I don't know who this woman is. She just quietly paid the rest of an elderly stranger's insulin bill and walked out before anyone could thank her. I've never seen anything like this in real life." He tagged no one. He expected, if anything, a few dozen likes from people he knew. He went to bed not thinking about it again. Linda, that same night, wrote Vera's initials in the green notebook in the section reserved for cost, and noted, "Tired in a way that scared me a little today." Then, underneath it, in the worth it column, just one word: always. She had no idea her face wasn't in the video. She had no idea there was a video at all. She had 11 weeks left, give or take, and a list that was now down to fewer names than she had energy to comfortably reach. And somewhere in the next 72 hours, a 15-second clip of her back walking away from a pharmacy counter was about to start moving through the internet at a speed that had nothing to do with permission. Here's the thing about a video like that. It doesn't go viral the way people imagine, in one dramatic spike. It goes viral the way a fever builds, quiet for a day, a little warmer the next, and then suddenly you're checking the thermometer every hour because something has clearly gotten away from you. By the second day, Marcus's clip had 40,000 views. By the fourth day, it had crossed 500,000, picked up by an account that reposts everyday kindness clips to an audience numbering in the millions, stripped of context, captioned only with the same question Marcus had asked: "Who is this woman?" Comment sections are strange ecosystems. Under that clip, something started happening that none of the algorithms could have predicted and none of the platforms could fully explain. People didn't just watch it and move on. They lingered. They wrote long comments about their own grandmothers, their own insulin copays, a stranger who once paid for their groceries during a layoff, and they never found out who. The video had become less about Linda, whoever she was, and more like a mirror. People were recognizing something in it they didn't get to see very often, a kindness with absolutely nothing in it for the person doing it. By week 13, month 3, if you're counting the way Linda's oncologist counted, in months instead of weeks, because months were the unit that mattered now. The clip had been picked up by 2 regional news accounts and reposted with the caption, "Help us find the pharmacy angel," a nickname that made Linda, had she seen it, almost certainly wince. She was not an angel. She would have told you, if you'd asked, that angels don't have nausea schedules. Local Facebook groups in 3 counties started speculating. Someone recognized the cardigan from a church rummage sale. Someone else swore it was a former teacher. One woman, with total confidence and zero accuracy, named the wrong person entirely. A mix-up that caused its own brief chaos for a very confused, unrelated retiree. Linda knew none of this. She didn't have Facebook anymore. She deleted it 2 years earlier after deciding it made her feel worse about her life, not better, which turned out to be one of the more quietly prophetic decisions she'd ever made, because it meant the search for her unfolded entirely outside the only door she might have noticed it through. What she did notice, by month 3, was that her hands had started shaking in a way that wasn't from chemo, that she'd had to write list entries during her better hours instead of trusting she'd find more. That Hank had started showing up not just for coffee, but to sit with her during shift breaks, like he'd sensed something wrong without being told. The quietly looking after you back. Emily noticed something else entirely. Scrolling through her phone on a Tuesday night in her apartment in Columbus, half paying attention, thumb moving on autopilot through a feed of other people's lives, she stopped scrolling. Gray cardigan. A particular, unmistakable way of standing, slightly favoring one hip, the way her mother had stood for the last year without ever explaining why. A thin gold bracelet Emily had given her 2 Christmases ago, catching the pharmacy's fluorescent light for exactly 1 frame. Emily watched the 15-second clip 4 times in a row, her stomach doing something complicated and cold, before she picked up the phone to call the one person who could tell her whether she was losing her mind or about to find out something that was going to change everything. Linda picked up on the second ring, the way she always did, because some habits don't know they're running out of time along with everything else. "Mom," Emily said, and then nothing for a second too long. "Emily, what's wrong? I need you to look at something. Right now? Can you look at something?" Linda didn't own a smartphone built for this kind of moment. An older model, slow to load, a cracked screen she'd never bothered fixing for the same reason as the car mirror. It took the video almost 10 seconds to play, which felt, to Emily on the other end of the line, like watching someone read a verdict in slow motion. Linda watched her own back walk away from a pharmacy counter. She watched Vera's face, captured by a stranger's phone, do the thing it had done in person, that slow unclenching, relief landing somewhere a person can't fully hide it. She watched the caption. 2 million views. The number read at that point, climbing. She didn't say anything for almost a full minute. "Mom, say something." "I'm here," Linda said. Her voice came out steadier than she expected, which surprised her more than the video had. I didn't know anyone was watching. That's kind of the whole thing, Mom. Nobody knew. People are losing their minds trying to figure out who you are. There are Facebook groups. There's a news station that called it. Don't tell me the nickname. It's not that bad. Don't tell me the nickname, Emily." There was something almost funny in it, and for a moment, mother and daughter both let themselves laugh, badly, the kind of laugh that's really just shock looking for an exit. Then Linda got quiet again, and this time the quiet had weight to it. Emily knew that particular silence. It was the same one from the night 2 months earlier when Linda had finally said the word pancreatic out loud at the kitchen table. "You're not going to tell them, are you?" Emily said. Not really a question. "No. Mom, people want to thank you. People want to. People want a story," Linda said, and there wasn't bitterness in it, just a clear-eyed kind of tired. "And the second it has my name on it, it stops being about Vera and her insulin and starts being about a woman with cancer doing nice things before she dies. That's not what this was. I didn't do this to be found. I did it because I had a little time and a lot of people who needed something and no interest in being thanked for noticing them." Emily didn't argue, because some part of her, even scared, even shaken, understood exactly what her mother meant. The video meant something to 2 million strangers precisely because nobody knew who'd done it. The mystery wasn't an accident getting in the way of the message. The mystery was the message. Kindness with no name attached is harder to dismiss, harder to turn into marketing, harder to do for the wrong reasons. The minute Linda's name went up, some of that would curdle, no matter how good her intentions had been. "So what do we do?" Emily asked. "We do nothing," Linda said. "We let them search. I've got a list to finish, and I don't have room on it for an interview." She hung up that night having made a decision that, in a stranger's hands, might have looked like hiding. It wasn't. It was the same rule she'd written in the front of a 99-cent notebook 4 months earlier, just stretched to cover a situation she'd never imagined needing it for. This isn't about being seen. It never was. She had 4 names left, and a body that, for the first time, felt like it might not let her reach all of them. By month 4, the month the title of this video already told you about, the month 2 million had already become something closer to 4. The search for the pharmacy angel had turned into something stranger and, in its own way, more beautiful than anyone filming a 15-second clip could have predicted. People started doing it themselves, not because they knew who Linda was, because the not knowing had become its own kind of invitation. If a complete stranger could quietly fix someone's worst Tuesday and vanish, what was stopping anyone else? A man in Tulsa paid off a family's layaway order and left no name. A teenager in Sacramento started leaving $20 bills in library books with no note. None of them had met Linda. None of them ever would. They just watched 15 seconds of a woman's back, and something in them had decided to become the same kind of stranger to somebody else. That's the part of this story I think about the most, if I'm honest with you. Not the diagnosis. Not even Linda herself, as much as I've come to admire her in the time I've spent telling you this. The part that gets me is how far a single, unwitnessed kindness can travel once it's let loose, completely without the permission or knowledge of the person who started it. If you've made it this far with me, I want to invite you to subscribe to our channel and join us every day. I say that because I think you're exactly the kind of person who needed to hear about Linda, and I'd like to keep finding people like her for you. Now let me get back to her, because the list wasn't finished, and neither was she. By week 15, Linda could no longer drive herself anywhere. Emily had moved back home by then, sleeping on the pull-out couch, managing a schedule of appointments and medications with a calm she hadn't known she had in her. Linda's good hours had shrunk down to almost nothing, a window in the late morning where the pain backed off just enough to let her think clearly, to hold a pen without her hand betraying her. She used those windows for the last 4 names. She couldn't get to them in person anymore, so she did the only thing left to do. She told Emily where to go, what to notice, what to leave, and how to leave it without a name attached. A struggling young couple 2 streets over, expecting a baby with nothing close to enough saved. A retired teacher whose home heating had been cut off twice that winter. A boy at the high school who'd been quietly skipping lunch for weeks because his family had stopped being able to afford the difference. Emily carried out her mother's kindness like a courier running the last leg of a relay neither of them had planned on running together. She'd come home from each one and describe it to Linda in detail, what the person's face did, what they said, whether they cried, because Linda couldn't be there to see it herself anymore, and seeing it, even secondhand, through her daughter's eyes, was the closest thing left to doing it herself. One more, Linda said one evening in week 16, her voice thin but not unsteady. There's one more name. Emily looked at the notebook. The list, which had started at 180 names, had exactly 1 left. It wasn't a stranger this time. It wasn't a stranger this time. Emily opened the notebook to the last page and found her mother had already written something there, in handwriting so weak it barely looked like her own. A blank line, and underneath it, for words. Whoever needs it next. Linda died 11 days later, at home, with Emily holding one hand and Hank, who'd shown up every day that final week without being asked, the way people do when they've been quietly looked after and finally get the chance to look after someone back, sitting quietly in the next room. She never confirmed she was the woman in the video. The search for the pharmacy angel never officially ended. It just slowly stopped being a search and started being a local legend, the kind of story towns tell themselves to feel a little better about strangers. Her obituary ran 4 sentences in the Maple Ridge paper. It didn't mention insulin, or a notebook, or 2 million views. It mentioned 22 years at Dot's Diner, and a daughter who loved her, and that she'd be missed by everyone who'd ever sat at her counter. Vera read that obituary 3 times before she noticed the dates lined up, the diagnosis, the cardigan, the months. She never said anything to anyone. Some people, it turns out, are also good at keeping a secret they only half understand. That blank line in the notebook is still the part of this story I can't quite put down. She had every reason, at the end, to make that last act about herself, a final grand gesture, something to be remembered by. Instead, she handed it to nobody in particular, to whoever needed it next, which, if you think about it for more than a few seconds, was never just one person. It was anyone willing to pick the pen back up. I don't know what you'll do with that. I'm not going to tell you what it means, because I think you already know, and I think you knew before I finished the sentence. If this found you at the right moment, stay with us. Follow the channel, send this to 5 people who'd sit with it the way you just did, and tell me honestly, in the comments, what this one stirred up in you. And if there's a story you think I should tell next, someone like Linda, a name you've been carrying around, tell me that too. Sometimes the smallest detail in a comment turns into the next 40 minutes we spend together. I read every one.